Patch 13.17 is jam-packed with some pretty massive item changes, so there's going to be many new builds on the rise. As always, you know we got you guys covered, as we'll be breaking down 10 new builds that you need to try for this patch. But before we get into it, be sure to check out SkillCapped if you want to truly get better at League of Legends. We're the only service that offers a money-back guarantee if you don't climb at least 5 divisions while actively using our service. We do this because our service really does work, and if it doesn't work for you, you shouldn't pay. Learn more at the end of this video or click the link in the description below. One build that becomes way stronger for 13.17 and will single-handedly solidify Renekton as an S-tier top laner revolves around Spear of Shojin. Shojin is massively buffed for this patch, becoming way more gold efficient, and it's going to work extremely well as a second purchase. Although Gore Drinker is not a new item on Renekton, it's also buffed for 13.17, and in total, from both the buffs combined, you're now getting 490 gold worth of stats for free. Since the health on Shojin and Gore Drinker are both going up, Renekton is going to be more difficult to take down, while the passive ability haste on Shojin is buffed, so your extended skirmish power is increased too. The complete core build to try is a Gore Drinker Rush into Spear of Shojin 2nd and Black Cleaver 3rd, Rune Page is Conqueror with Triumph, Alacrity, and Last Stand, run Bone Plating and Unflinching for secondaries. Divine Sunderer and Trinity Force have been by far the most popular mythic items on Fiora for a while now, but we expect that to change in 13.17. Over the past few patches, Stridebreaker has actually been Fiora's best analytical mythic item. With Stridebreaker buff this patch, it should really lead to people waking up to the item and realizing its strength. A huge benefit to building Stridebreaker over any of the other mythic items is that you have so much more sticking power. Not only do you get the active slow from Stride, but its passive grants bonus movement speed when you deal physical damage, and its mythic passive gives you even more MS for each legendary item. The value of movement speed on Fiora is huge because it allows you to proc your vitals more consistently, which leads to more damage. If you think of it like that, more MS actually means more damage per second for Fiora. When it comes down to really accelerating an advantage and giving the enemy very little counterplay, Stride is the way to go. The 3-item core to try is a Stridebreaker Rush into Ravenous Hydra 2nd and Hullbreaker 3rd. Grasp is the Keystone Rune with Demolish, Second Wind, and Unflinching, run Mana Flow and Scorch for secondaries. This new Rengar setup is extremely complex, ranging from the items you purchase to the runes you choose. First off, Umbral Glaive Rush has become extremely powerful and will get even better this patch due to Duskblade being nerfed. Duskblade is still the most popular rush item on Rengar, but Umbral is absolutely obliterating it on the analytical front as a first purchase. For a champion like Rengar who wants to be invading, the passive from Umbral Glaive is incredibly valuable. Now, the other key component to this build is Prowler's Claw. Prowler's was also just buffed, and like Umbral Glaive, it has a passive with a cooldown, which is going to tie into how you set up your rune page. The complete 3-item core is Umbral Glaive, Eclipse, and Prowler's Claw, and all 3 items have passives with cooldowns. As a result, this makes running Ingenious Hunter in runes absolutely disgusting. Ingenious Hunter is going to reduce the cooldown of the Umbral Glaive, the Eclipse Shield, and the Prowler's Claw bonus damage. Right now, in Masters and above, this setup is really catching steam, but below that, it's really not very popular yet. Definitely look to abuse this while you can because the synergy between the item and rune page is crazy. Stridebreaker has been slowly gaining some traction on Bel'Veth over the past patch, and with the item buffed here in 13.17, it's going to be your best mythic. What makes Stridebreaker so powerful on Bel'Veth is that landing W becomes so much easier. If you can get right up on the enemy by gap closing with Q, slow them with Stridebreaker active, and then use W, it's a near guaranteed hit, and the enemy is not escaping unless they have flash. The complete 3-item core has the perfect mix of damage and durability, as you're rushing Kraken Slayer, going Stridebreaker 2nd, and then Black Cleaver 3rd. The more popular Bel'Veth build has you going Kraken into Blade of the Ruined King, which leaves you quite vulnerable in the mid game, especially with Stride getting even more health this patch. Picking it up in place of Blade of the Ruined King is going to be well worth it. The rune page you should run with this build is Conqueror, followed by Triumph, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace. Grab Magical Footwear and Cosmic Insight for secondaries. A new Sylas build has been gaining some popularity over the past patch, and it consists of running Night Harvester in place of Everfrost. Sylas just got a buff in 13.16 to where his base mana was increased by 90. It's not a massive increase by any means, but it makes the manaless Night Harvester more attractive. Mana is the only base stat that Everfrost has over Night Harvester, while Harvester offers more haste, AP, and health. The extra haste that Night Harvester provides is a big one, as you not only gain more base haste, but the mythic passive on Night Harvester gives you haste for every legendary item. If possible, we always want to back up our build recommendations with data, and there's a really interesting trend for Night Harvester on Sylas. Prior to the buffs in 13.15, only about 3% of Sylas players were running Night Harvester, and it had a 50% win rate, jumped to 13.16. When Sylas was buffed, and the win rate of the item spiked to 53%, while the play rate more than doubled up to 7%. Comparably, Sylas players running Everfrost are only winning 49% of the time, so it's a pretty large gap there. The complete core build you should be running consists of Night Harvester into Shadowflame 2nd and Zanya's 3rd. Conqueror is the Keystone Rune with Presence of Mind, Tenacity, and Last Stand. Run Second Wind and Overgrowth for secondaries. A build making a comeback for 13.17 and one that Faker has actually been playing in solo queue consists of Shield Bow as a core component on Yone. Obviously the item in itself is not new for Yone, but the order in which you purchase it is, which is key. In the past few patches, you'd really only grab Shield Bow as a third or fourth purchase on the champ, but it's becoming a much better second pickup for 13.17. The lifeline shield value on Shield Bow is going up at the earlier levels, so you're gaining more value out of picking it up sooner. Even Shroud had been a core second pickup on Yone throughout 13.16, but now that the item is nerfed, it makes slotting in Immortal Shield Bow even more valuable. The 2-item core Faker has already been preparing consists of rushing Blade of the Rune King and going Shield Bow second. Third item will be an Infinity Edge as your mythic. Rune Page to run with this build is Lethal Tempo followed by Triumph, Alacrity, and Last Stand. Roll with Second Wind and Unflinching for secondaries. Trinity Force had been the most popular build on Draven for a while, but a lot of pro players, especially over in Korea, have been swapping over to a new unique build. Ravenous Hydra as a core component is not something we have seen in quite a while on Draven, but it's making a push back in a meta. Without question, one of the core weaknesses of Draven's kit is that he lacks the ability to quickly shove out waves. With Static Shiv becoming a staple component on many ADCs as of recent, it's been hard for Draven to keep up priority. By going for Ravenous Hydra, your wave clear is much stronger, and it helps you contest waves against those Shiv abusers much better. On top of this, Ravenous has always been a pretty attractive item for Draven because its passive works extremely well for the snowbally nature of the champion. You get loads of AD from stacking the Ravenous passive, which in combination with the Spellblade proc from Essence Reaver gives you massive burst. For the complete 3-item core, it's Essence Reaver into Ravenous Hydra second and Infinity Edge third. Lethal Tempo is the keystone rune with Overheal, Bloodline, and Cutdown, followed by Eyeball Collection and Treasure Hunter for secondaries. It's no secret Lethality Misfortune has been extremely powerful for a while now, but there's a new adaptation to the build that many players are missing out on. In 13.16, Riot threw in a nice buff to Axiom Arc, increasing its passive's ultimate cooldown reduction. For a champion like Misfortune, who is so ult reliant with this build, Axiom as a core component has become way stronger. It's usually been Cyrilda's Grudge that players have been grabbing third, but you should definitely be trying Axiom Arc in its place. What's actually pretty crazy is that this 3-item core of Ghostblade, the Collector, and Axiom Arc is the most winning Misfortune build. There's only been about 10,000 games of players using the build though, so it's extremely underrated. It usually takes people a patch or two after an item is buffed to realize its strength, so look to abuse this setup before it really catches on. The rune page for the build is First Strike with Magical Footwear, Biscuits, and Cosmic Insight. Best secondaries are Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm. If you guys remember back to 13.16, Karma received a few AP ratio buffs, one to her normal Q and one to the explosion of her mantra Q. This in turn means that building AP is now more valuable on Karma, and it's leading to Night Harvester being a super strong rush option. Night Harvester is only being played in about 5% of Karma games, but it's winning way more than any other mythic. For a solo carry oriented Karma build, a 2-item core of Night Harvester and Imperial Mandate works wonders. Now the rune page with this build is different than what you'd run on a more supportive Karma. Instead of running Comet or Airy for the Keystone rune, you want to be taking First Strike. Night Harvester obviously costs way more than your typical support mythics, so by running First Strike, it helps accelerate to your spike a bit faster. First Strike is also very easy for Karma to proc in lane, especially against melee supports, so you're going to get great use out of it. This item was practically built for Pyke, however, very few players are actually taking notice of its power right now, and it revolves around Axiom Arc. The 2-item core winning the most on Pyke and solo queue right now is Umbral Glaive into Axiom Arc. Both items were just buffed in recent patches, so when you combine them together, they're providing you with much more value now. Duskblade is also being nerfed again here for 13.17, so it's another reason why picking up Axiom Arc in its place is worthwhile. Pyke is 10 times the champion when his ultimate is available, as his skirmish power rises massively. All the haste you're getting from Axiom Arc gives you that super short R cooldown so that you can more consistently capitalize on catch plays. Standard rune page for Pyke that you should run consists of Hail of Blades with Cheap Shot, Zombie Ward, and Ultimate Hunter. Grab Bone Plating and Unflinching for secondaries. Alright guys, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little more about SkillCapped. So, we offer a 5-division rank up guarantee, and think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's like a gym membership guaranteeing you'll get ripped. Your local gym would go bust if they offered that, right? Not us. We've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well, in fact, that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium league guides on the internet. We add over 20 videos a week, with over 1,600 guides curated into over 100 courses no one can compare. We've also sent Challenger players into ELO Hell 714 times and counting, where they commentate how to carry live. They also respond to all questions asked. Sign up today for as little as $6.99 a month if you are serious about improving. So there you have it guys, 10 new builds that you should be looking to abuse for patch 13.17. Thanks so much for watching, good luck in solo queue, and we'll see you back soon.